Today in the news, a federal judge orders expansion of mail-in voting in Texas, and Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson announced a $230 million grant to the Dallas Area Rapid Transit from the Federal Transit Administration through the CARES Act. And of course, our city's hospital capacity report. Today is May 22nd, 2020, and this is Dallas Weekly News. Hello, I'm your host, Patrick Washington, and this is Dallas Weekly News. A federal judge Tuesday ordered Texas to allow any of the state's 16 million voters to cast a ballot by mail over fears of the coronavirus, paving the way for what would be one of the most dramatic expansions of mail-in voting in the country. The decision is unlikely to be the last word. Republican Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who in recent weeks has suggested that steering voters towards wrongly applying for mail-in ballots could result in prosecution, said the state would appeal. He called the ruling by the U.S. District Judge Fred Biery a dismissal of well-established law. The fight in Texas is just one of several court battles across the country over efforts, mainly by Democrats, to expand access to mail-in ballots amid the pandemic. In Wisconsin, where the election officials drew widespread criticism for holding its April 7th presidential primary, even as other states delayed voting, a new lawsuit filed Monday argued that not enough has been done since then to ensure that the upcoming elections can be conducted safely and fairly. Voting by mail in Texas is generally limited to those 65 or older, or those with sickness or physical conditions that prevents voting in person. In a lengthy ruling, Judge Biery rejected Paxton's assertion that fear of getting the virus doesn't qualify as a disability under the law. He also dismissed claims that expanding mail-in voting would invite fraud in Texas, citing scant evidence. The ruling came just days after the Texas Supreme Court, which is entirely controlled by Republicans, handed Paxton a victory by blocking a lower ruling in the state court that cleared the way for widespread vote by mail. Officials in Tennessee are also fighting efforts to expand mail-in voting under the similar defense as Texas, saying fear of contracting the coronavirus doesn't meet medical criteria. Texas is pressing ahead with one of the swiftest reopenings in the country. On Monday, Republican Governor Greg Abbott gave permission to reopen practically every facet of daily life in Texas, including bars and child daycare centers, lifting most full lockdown orders. He said social distancing measures must still be in place, such as limits on customers and no fans at sporting events. Texas has nearly 50,000 cases and at least 1,300 deaths related to the virus. The number of cases has climbed since Texas began lifting stay-at-home orders May 1st, but Abbott has defended the speed by emphasizing that hospitalizations have remained flat and infection rates have dropped since April. President Donald Trump has claimed mail-in voting is ripe for fraud and cheaters, even as his re-election campaign and state allies are scrambling to launch operations meant to help their voters cast ballots in the mail. Other states have moved to expand absentee voting amid the coronavirus pandemic, including some controlled by Republicans. But Paxton has maintained that fear of getting the virus doesn't qualify as a disability under the law. Texas will hold primary runoff elections in July. Abbott has already expanded early voting for that election, which will decide the nominees in key congressional races and which Democrats will face Republican Senator John Cornyn. Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson announced that Dallas Area Rapid Transit is receiving just under $230 million in the Section 5307 Urbanized Area Formula funds from the Federal Transit Administration through the CARES Act. The funds that CARES Acts provide are critical to ensuring that first responders and frontline workers are able to safely commute to and from work. DART and its contracted partners will be able to provide services without major interruptions, while at the same time providing a safe and secure workplace for their employees. DART will also use the grant funds to pay operating, administrative, preventative measure maintenance, and other expenses to prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19. And now your Dallas City Hospital Capacity Report. This has been Dallas Weekly News. I'm your host, Patrick Washington. You can find these and more stories at dallasweekly.com. And of course, follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And as always, please stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.